Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Shana Tova, Shana Metuka to everybody. Kadosh Baruch Hu bless each and every one of you that are attending, that are watching, that are supporting. In this new year, B'ezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu will give Klal Yisrael the biggest bracha that exists, which is for all of us to have the merit to do TeShuva and to help Am Yisrael to do TeShuva. Today is a Shiur, first Shiur of the year, is sponsored by our dear friend Moshe ben Esther Chana. Kadosh Baruch Hu bless him b'kol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, gmilut chasadim, zivugagun, to live in a life of kedusha. Also, the Avdil, the shiur will be for Ilun Nishmat Nisim ben Zekiah and Linda bat Behia, and also for Refuah Shlema for Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Yitro ben Avraham, David ben Esriah, Doris bat Jora, Batya bat Sarah, Naomi bat Sarah, Orit bat Ilana, Batya bat Sarah, Serach bat Batya, Michal bat Yael, Talia bat Sarah, Stefan ben Katarina, Yitzchak ben Baila Rochel, Jonas ben Sherry Haley, Yosef Yitzchak ben Baila Rochel, Doris bat Jora, Sarah bat Levana, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rab Ephraim ben Shulamit, and also for Hatzlacha Rabba for Shaul ben Farzane, Yitro ben Avraham, Oshri ben Doris, Gabi ben Doris, Elad ben Doris, David ben Esriah, and all of Am Yisrael, especially the ones that are continuing to help us, help Am Yisrael, both the Banefesh and Baguf. Anyone that watched the video we released, we released a few videos today. Baruch Hashem, the channel is very, very active channel. If you don't stay on top of it, you could easily fall behind 10, 20 videos in a few days. Baruch Hashem. Lots of new videos, lots of new things, Baruch Hashem. One of the new videos that we released is about our new campaign this week for Yom Kippur. For anyone that, this is usually the time where people donate the most amount of money. Especially, if you go to shul, you're part of a community. People buy aliyot, or they donate to the Bet Knesset, the community, and so on. There's quite a few campaigns out there in the world that are going, and of course, B'ezrat Hashem has our own ongoing campaign at all times. But this one is a very, very a special one, simply because it's this is the time of need. Time of need. Because people asked last week when we had the campaign for Rosh Hashanah, why does it cost $2,600 to get a prayer, or $5,000 and change to sponsor Shiur and get prayers, and $25,000 to sponsor Shiur? Why does it cost so much? It's not that it costs so much; it's that there's a huge need, and if a person has, why not? Why not do it? If you have the ability to do it, do it. Does it cost a lot of money to get somebody to stand in front of the Torah and to open the Echal? No, it doesn't cost anything. The point is that you have to direct people towards the place that you want them to be in. Now, of course, if somebody can't donate that much money, they can donate less. If they can't donate at all, don't donate. But the point is why do people usually ask? They don't usually ask because they they care about the actual goal and the of what we're doing, but rather because they're inquisitive. What are you doing with the money? How many houses do you have? Are you still on Wall Street? Are you going to take this $2,000 and invest in Bitcoin? Can you give me some stock tips? People ask these questions. People ask all types of silly questions. People to this day still ask me for stock advice, even though I haven't watched the market in a few years already. And, to clarify things, I know that myself, being a very skeptical person my whole life, I like to see proofs for everything. I like sources for everything. That's the way I would do it on Wall Street. That's the way I've done it my whole life. When someone would give me a new investment recommendation and they would give me their idea, I would say, thank you very much, but show me proof for everything you just said. If you have proof for everything you just said, no problem. A couple of guys one time came to one of our clients and they told him, listen, we're going to open up the next Disneyland, and we want you to invest X amount of money. So this client, who was actually dealing with my brother at the time, asked me to come to North Carolina and talk to these investment gurus. So I came there, reviewed the prospectus before I got there, and within a matter of a few moments, I realized it was a scam. Now it's not written on it that it's a scam. It wasn't written on it as a scam. It's just that if you have experience and you've been around the block a few times, you understand what's going to work, what's not going to work. At the best case scenario, it's a bad investment. At the worst case scenario, it's a scam. And that's exactly what I told them when I went to North Carolina. In hopes of what? In hopes that the client will listen to me. That's the hopes. So I went, I met both of them, very, very charming people, good salesmen. One guy worked for Disney at one point, so he thought maybe he'll open up the next Disney. The other one worked for, I think, the US Open, the tennis. So he figured he'll open up the next US, or maybe open both. Both had, they had a good rapport, they had a good CV. So easy to give money to people who have a good CV. So when I appeared, Mr. Wall Street appears and tells them, listen, at best case scenario, this is a bad investment. At worst, you're both thieves. They didn't really like it so much, but the investors that were there were very intrigued by it and were, wondering why. I told them 1, 2, 3, this is the reason, because you don't have any proofs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you can provide me proofs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can show this and that, no problem. I'll give you money. And they said, okay, can you give us the night? Sure, no problem. I gave him 2 nights. Nothing happened. And you know what happened? The investor's still stupid. And he still invested $600,000 in there, and a year later he told me, listen, I should have listened to you. Why? What happened? Oh, they took all the money. So sometimes you lead a horse to water, and he still drowns. Doesn't drink. Drowns. So I don't do any investments in the stock market. But I do try to guide people to the right investments, because the point is that you want to have something that's going to come with you. So when it comes to Mesillat Yesharim, I already know this is a guaranteed investment, because I know what we do. I know how many people we help, Baruch Hashem. Every single day there's new emails and new messages and new calls and new people that are doing TeShuva or converting and so on and so forth. So it's easy. It's easy. This works. It just takes time and a lot of effort. But at the same token, I know that people are skeptical. So this morning, or sometime in the middle of the night, I made a video just showing people simply the bills. Just a couple of bills that just happened in the last 24 hours. Say, listen, I'm tired of making new campaigns. It takes a lot of time, because when people call me crying that they don't have food, I don't really have time to go spend 3-4 hours making a campaign. Why? Because they need to eat. By the time I finish the campaign, maybe somebody's going to starve to death. So, simply put, there's no time to waste, and we realize that there's at least a couple of hundred families. We're talking about a few thousand people, because each family, Baruch Hashem, has kids, and not just dogs. And the average family is 10 people. So you're talking about at least a couple of thousand people. You need to feed them. How are you going to feed them? Well, it costs money to feed them. Well, won't they go to work? Yeah, they go to work, except when the country shuts down. And you can't work unless you work for the food place. So, in so many words, we don't have much time, and we decided that it's time to act now and not until we get the money, because by the time we get the money, it's going to, people could suffer. Even if they suffer an extra minute, it's not good. So we decided to act fast and send money before we raised any money. Sent something around $65,000, $70,000 or so, something between those numbers. Another, I think, $5,000 or $8,000 came out today. Part of it to the supermarket, part of it to the people giving it to the people, to give it to them directly so they could buy it in their locations, because not everybody's located in the same place. And simply showed people, here, this is a receipt, this is a receipt, this is a receipt, this is what we sent, this is what we sent. Did we raise the money? No, we didn't raise the money, but this is what happened. So people ask, what'd you do with the the money you raised for Rosh Hashanah? Well, that and much more was given to other people. So what do you get out of it? Nothing. I get headaches out of it, people questioning, sometimes they curse, sometimes they say thank you, all types of things. But we don't do it because of thank yous or because you're going to get some type of a Man of the Year award. In Judaism, Rabotai Karim, you do what is necessary. Not necessarily what you want to do, what you think. No, you do what's necessary. And the most important mitzvah is the mitzvah that you have in front of you. If somebody tells you on a Monday afternoon, what's the most important mitzvah? If you tell them it's Shabbat, you're wrong. It's not. Shabbat is not the most important mitzvah. It's not. You know what's the most important mitzvah? The mitzvah you have in your hand right now. On Shabbat, what's the most important mitzvah? Shabbat. On Monday, Shabbat's not important. Why? Because Shabbat's not there yet. Who promised you're going to survive the Shabbat? And that's the way you got to look at it. In Judaism, you have to look at things as this is needed right now. I need to act now. I need to act now. Somebody, a Kadosh Baruch Hu sends you somebody that has his hand out and you happen to have a couple shekels in your pocket, give. Why not? Kadosh Baruch Hu will pay you back. And even if you are thinking that he's going to pay me back next week and Hashem takes a little time, he pays you back 2 months from now, don't worry. Kadosh Baruch Hu pays his lovers. But that's the problem that we have constantly in the world today, that it's a battle of Emunah. You have to have Emunah in order to simply survive the day, because without Emunah, life is just simply torture. Without having faith in Hashem that He is going to pay His lovers and He's going to pay His haters, just two different types of payments. Without having that complete faith in Hashem, life is simply torture. Why? Because you constantly have anxiety and you're not really sure what's going to happen and what's going to be, and all types of things are happening that are against your plan. A person once said, if you want to make Hashem laugh, tell him your plans. Tell him your plans. Well, it's true. It's a wise statement. Shlomo Melech also says the same thing. But the point is that we have a lot of plans. We have plans that, I'm going to save money, I'm going to put a certain amount of money in my 401k, and in my IRA, and in my savings account, I'm going to invest in XYZ, I'm going to invest in ABC, and I'm going to put a house, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and by the time I get to this age, I'm going to have... Hashem said, that's cute. It's cute, so I like that plan for you. Yeah. You arrived that day, the plan that you had 20 years before, not even remotely close to what you actually happened. You may have a lot more, you may have a lot less, but the point being is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply says, listen, my son, my daughter, you had plans without including me, because you thought that you can do it. And that's the mistake number one. If we think that we can survive a single day without HaKadosh Baruch Hu's complete blessing, we're already starting the day with left foot. Mistake. Without a blessing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you, Yaron Reuven, are absolutely nothing. Zero. Nothing. You'll never be anything. You'll never were anything. Why? Because that's the reality. That's what I tell myself. Why? Because it's the truth. That's the truth. Without having siyata dishmaya, blessing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're not going to make it through the door. And when a person understands, I need Hashem's blessing to do everything, and obviously, there's ways to get the blessing. If you're doing everything that Abba says, a normal, logical person would say, if I do everything that Abba says, in the end I'm going to get the blessing. Whether the blessing comes next week, next month, next year, or after this life is completely over is irrelevant. Bottom line is, He signs the deal in His Torah. Whoever does what I say gets the blessing. So when a person simply wants to live a life without Hashem, he lives a life that's not just empty, but is full of anxiety and no fulfillment and misery. Why? Because he thinks and she thinks they're doing all the things that need to be done, but many times those things that need to be done end up not being the things that you need done. And life doesn't work out. You saved a certain amount of money, but you're still miserable. You saved a certain amount of things, or you're still this and still that. Whereas when a person just simply does what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, his life looks different. Why? Because he knows that whether the things work out like I thought they did or they didn't, surely they worked out like Hashem thought. So everything is going okay. You don't have any questions about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you know He knows what He's doing. And if you know that He knows what He's doing, and you know that He promises you that if you do what He says to do, ultimately you'll be rewarded, you don't have to question anything. Because you may have a plan. Listen, I need to raise enough money so I can build a yeshiva. So this extra $60,000, $70,000 really was a pretty decent large chunk of, pretty large chunk. I could just put that aside, put it as a down payment for, for some chairs or something. For something, right? Well, right now, you're sitting on the floor, guys. No chairs for you. Why? We just gave it to some people to eat. Why do we do that? Because it's much more important for them to eat than for us to sit down on the floor. Why? Because right now they need to eat. You don't need to say anything. Right now we have chairs. What about the money that we're going to need in the future? When we need it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send it. And that's how it works. Now this is never easy. Don't kid yourself. It's easy to talk about. Very easy. From here, from this position, very easy to talk about. To do it, kashemi mavit. Harder than death. Why? Because when you're in a fire, it's hard. Now if you write a little check, you write a check for $200, okay, easy. Yeah, Rabbi, give me $200. Hey, $1,000. Hey, Rabbi, here you go. Hey, start writing checks. 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500,000. Big money. Starts getting hard. Doesn't start getting hard. It is hard. It's hard before you do it. It's hard while you do it. It's hard after you do it. But you see a lot of blessing. One time, when I was first starting out, I never, when I was a secular person, Shem Yishmo, I never really celebrated the Sukkot, which Baruch Hashem today is like my favorite holiday. Sukkot that's my time. I do everything I possibly can to have all the things that you could possibly have for this thing. Now, how did it all start? Years ago, I was learning, I was doing different things. And, Sukkot came up. Now, Rabbi said, you have to go buy a lulav and a etrog. Now, I knew what they were, I just never bought them on my own. So, okay, so I'll go buy it. How much do they cost? It depends on the price, what kind, what this, what's that. Okay, so we went to visit some people in New York, and I said, you know what, let me just go to Brooklyn and go buy some lulav and etrog. There was that time. It was around this time of the year. Now I'm thinking, that it's not going to cost that much money. $50, $100, finished. So my brother and my dad told me, listen, if you're already going to go, buy us some too. Here's the money. So I have, $200. $200. That's to buy everybody a togim, lulavim, this, that. Okay, tabach shimo. Now, I also happen to have the last bit of money that I have left after I lost everything. Also happen to have that in my pocket. How much? $600. That's a little bit of money that I had left. Wait a couple $100 to go buy the lulavim for the holiday, for the Chag, and so on. Tabach shimo. So I go to different places, and it all looks the same to me. Yeah, etrog looks like a lemon, just a little bigger. Lulav looks like something you could just, take off the tree by yourself. Why am I paying for it? I don't know anything. Nothing's really impressing me. I've seen this before, but nothing's so impressive. But, okay, this. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it, what's the difference? What's this one, that one, this one? I don't know. But I want to get something good. Why? It's like, I want to do something special, but nothing looks special to me. So this young kid comes over, he works in the store. He goes, what are you looking for? Lulav, etrog. Oh, okay. You want something cool? I said, yeah, sure, why? He said, come. So he takes me to the back, and he has this big bag, shopping bag, and he takes out this other thing that's covered. I think it's the size of a watermelon. I don't know what it was. It's a huge thing. It's wrapped and wrapped and wrapped, and a lot of different things are wrapped. So obviously, whatever's in there is special. And after he unwraps all of these things, I see I didn't know what this thing is. I'm like, what is that? I see it's an etrog. But it's not an etrog, it's like an etrog from the days of Rabbi Akiva. Gemara says Rabbi Akiva had an etrog, he carried it on his shoulder. This was a little bit smaller than that. The thing was huge. It was unbelievable. It was like the size of a football, legitimately. Huge thing, perfect. Now, I knew at that moment, I want to get it. So I said, wow, how do I get that one? He goes, no, this is mine. But if you want, I'll sell it to you. I said, how much? $600. Without thinking about it twice. My wife and I looking at each other. Look at it, sold. You got it. Yeah? The guy's surprised, like he highballed me. So yeah, so I give the guy the money, I buy my brother and my father the Togim, the other ones, regular ones, and I take the football with me. I mean, it's all with me. Now why I tell you this story? Now after we leave the store, both of us are happy, we're on cloud 9. Now we're not thinking, oh, by the way, honey, we don't have any money. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, but we have an etrog. We have an etrog, it's like the size of a little boy. Yeah, we have something. Maybe we'll walk the boy, we'll, name him something, I don't know. Put a leash, I don't know, something, maybe carriage. Thing is amazing. So anyway, we have this etrog, and we're excited, and we have Sukkot, and I have this beautiful etrog, and I'm as excited as can be. Now after, you're in the beginning you're excited, but then after the holiday is over, it's like, oh wow, okay, so that's it, the mitzvah is over. I use it for a week. What are you going to do with this? Nothing. So it's okay, let's just put it back. I still like it, I want to look at it once in a while, but I don't know how long this thing is going to last. So whatever, I'll just put it on the shelf, next to my books. Before you know, I forgot. I forgot it was there. Just moved on with my life. Now you go try that. Take a lemon, or take your etrog, or take anything, and you go put it on a library. Put it on your library, or put it on a counter, or put it in a fridge, put it wherever you want. About a week later, 2 weeks, a month, max, it's going to tell you that it's here. Why? Because it's going to start doing all types of wonderful things, like melt. And, give you all types of wonderful scents that perhaps maybe it's not to your taste. Why? Because that's what happens. They rot. That didn't happen. The etrog, it went on its way. I went on my way. A year passed. After a year passed, I realized it's time to buy a etrog again. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, what happened to that other etrog? My wife said, oh no, you put it on top of the shelf. Not in a fridge, not in a freezer. You put it on top of the shelf. More. So, okay, what happened? Probably, I open the thing, with the covers, with the thing, like a brand new baby. Like a brand new baby. Like it just came off the tree. Or the planet it came from. I'm not really sure where it came from. The brand new baby. I take this, I look at this thing. I say to my wife, look at this, it's brand new. Now when I told this to Rabbi Ephraim, he goes, nah, show me a picture. I show him a picture. He goes, not possible. The thing is not supposed to survive more than a month. It's going to go rot. It's fruit. It's not a plastic. It's not a computer. You put it on a shelf and it stays the same. I used this etrog for 2 years, and I have a picture in my sukkah with my baby, my little daughter, both years. And you see the baby grow, but the etrog stay the same. One baby on this end, etrog on this end. The baby grew, etrog is the same size. Shtabach Shimo. And that's what happened. Well, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you little indications. Oh, I like this. Okay, this one I like. This one. But it's a test. It's a constant test, Rabotai. It's a constant test. Rav Wasserman has been telling us about a test that we're going to all deal with and are dealing with during the era of Mashiach. For the last several months, we've learned that the biggest test that we're going to have is the Roim, the shepherds. The shepherds, the leaders, the rabbis, the politicians, all of those people that lead are going to be the biggest test of all. Why? It's going to be very difficult to find a good shepherd. It's going to be very difficult to decipher and determine who is a good shepherd. And this is one of the biggest problems that we have today, where you can have people watch Shiur Torah, read books that call themselves Torah for 5, 10, 20 years without knowing that what they're reading is the opposite of Torah. Now, the Mesillat Yesharim, the RaMCHaL over 300 years ago, in chapter 5, he says that learning Torah is supposed to bring a person to carefulness in his actions. To be more careful not to make sins, to be more careful to know what to do and what not to do, and so on. And anyone who thinks that he can overcome the difficulties of the day, whether they be anti-Semitism, financial crisis, bad shepherds, or otherwise, anyone that thinks that he can overcome the difficulties without Torah is mistaken. So much so that someone who doesn't learn Torah won't even know that he's being led by the Satan until it's too late. Meaning that if a person does not learn authentic, real Torah, the Mesillat Yesharim says, what does the Torah promise to such a person that learns the wrong thing? That he could live a life 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 years learning this fake Torah and not know that it's actually the Torah of the Satan until it's already too late. Until his whole life went to the garbage. He's got divorces, he's got crisis, his whole life is upside down. He's living, instead of a Kiddush Hashem, a Chilul Hashem. But he won't even know it until it's too late. Meaning that what Rav Wasserman, in essence, has been warning us about for the last several months, and in essence for the last 80 or so years, when he wrote this sefer, is that the danger of the bad shepherds is so extraordinary that if a person were to choose the wrong shepherd, they could literally be leading the person to their own demise without the person even knowing that that's where they're going. They're leading the person to their own destruction. But they make it look like a lollipop. They make it look like steak, delicious. Now, on the other hand, the Torah promises us that if we were to learn the right Torah, Hashem ilachem lachem v'atem techarishun. In Exodus 14:14, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, God will fight your wars and you shall remain silent. Meaning whatever are the troubles of the world, whether they be Nazi Germany, or they be the anti-Semitism of today, or political, or financial, or health crisis, don't worry, Kadosh Baruch Hu will deal with all of it with you. It's not to say you're just going to live in a bubble and you're going to float among humanity, but if you do what Hashem says, that means that you're also going to acquire Emunah, to understand that Hashem runs the world, and you're just going to be like an angel among men, like the Chazon Ish says. You're going to do whatever you need to do, and even though there may be trouble around you, you're not going to be worried. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu is running the show, and you know it. You don't believe it. You know it. There's a very big difference believing, as Rav Mizrahi Sheikhya says, believing is not knowing. You believe something good's going to happen. That's nice. It's nice for you to believe. But the Torah obligates us to know. To know that I am Hashem, Hashem says. What does it mean to know? The whole world can explode around you. And you're not worried a bit. Why? You know who's doing it. The bank just went to zero. You don't have money to pay the bills. You're not worried a bit. Why? You know who's the one that took the money and who's the one that's going to deposit it right back. You know. You don't believe. You know. This needs to be our objective in life. To get to a point of knowledge. Complete knowledge. And the RaMCHaL says that level of knowledge can only be acquired by learning and living the Torah to its fullness. From the morning we wake up until we pass out. Day after day after day. And what about the tests? Yes, just like in school, you have tests every so often, once a week, on a Friday maybe, or every couple of weeks, and every semester you got tests. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends tests. Why? To see where you're at. So sometimes he sends you a financial test. All of a sudden, you don't have any money. You're going to start crying? You're going to start praying? You're going to start becoming a heretic? What are you going to do? That's the test. Sometimes he's going to give you a lot of money. What are you going to do? You're going to go party? You're going to give tzedakah? You're going to do something good? What are you going to do? It's not a test. It's not a test. Sometimes he's going to give you a job, but the job is not the best job. Why? Makes a lot of money, but also makes a lot of sins too. What are you going to do? You need the money. So what are you going to do? It's not a test. Sometimes he's going to give you a girl. Beautiful, precious girl. And she's even nice looking. Only problem is she's not Jewish. And you are. It's not a test. It's not a test. Not a test. Sometimes he's going to give you a guy, generous, handsome, rich, everything. Problem is, he's also steals money for a living. It's a test. Test. Everything's a test. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us tests every so often. Sometimes it's midterms. You know what midterms are in high school? Midterms, you know what that is? Every day is a test. Every day. You wake up, test. After you finish the test, you already started another test, you didn't even know it. You finished the first test, but there's already another test that started without you. Started without you. You're in it already, you didn't even know. Midterms. Test, constant. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu's telling you, okay, we reached the end of the semester, now I'm going to grade you. Why? Because I want to see where you're going. In Parashat Ki Titzeh, tells us of a ad mitzvah. In Sefer Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse number 8, says, Ki tivne bait chadash, ועשית מעקה לגגיך, ולא תשים דמים בביתך, כי ייפול הנופל ממנו. If you build a new house, you shall make a fence for your roof, so that you will not place blood in your house if a fallen one falls from it. So, Rabbi again says in the name of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, kind of an ad mitzvah. Says if you build a new home, you have to build a fence. So what if you buy a home and you don't build it? You don't have to build a fence? Let somebody fall off from the roof? No, obviously you have to build a fence anyway. And what if you don't build? You buy it. Or what if it's not new? It's old. And even if you didn't have this mitzvah, this verse here, would you know to do it? To build a fence on a roof? Yes, because there's another mitzvah in the Torah. It says, "Ushamartem me'od et nafshotechem," that you preserve your body. You cannot put your body at risk. Cannot put your body or other people's body. So obviously you know that if you have a roof, you have to put a fence so people don't fall off the roof. And why is it just a roof? Why, if there's like a place, a balcony, you don't put something there? Of course. So why does it specify a roof? Why does it specify a new house? So Rabbi again says in the name of Or HaChaim, because it's not really just talking about the house. That's the pshat. So you see, all of us just completed a year. And you got to Rosh Hashanah, and Be'ezrat Hashem you did TeShuva. And now, you have 10 days, which is really not 10 days, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to go to the appeal. But bottom line is, everybody knows you're starting new. It's a new year. New year. If you haven't done TeShuva, do it right now. Because Yom Kippur is just a couple of days away. And even more so, take advantage of this new year. Do as many mitzvahs as possible. But that also means that you have reached a new level. Why? Because you've completed last year's tests. You now have, hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, with the sake of these shiurim, ambitions to do better this year. Learn more Torah, do more mitzvot, have more yirat shamayim, preserve yourself from sin, be more modest, be more generous, and so on and so forth. Hopefully you have more ambitions, meaning you not only have reached a higher level than last year, but you have ambitions to go to a higher level. Right? So where did you put yourself? You're putting yourself in a new house, a new level. Where are you? You're on a roof. Top of your game. You should be right now the best you've ever been in your life. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, now you're on the roof. Put a fence. Put a fence. Why put a fence? You have to put yourself a fence around you to keep yourself somewhere within the vicinity of where you are right now, because it's not always going to be Rosh Hashanah. You're going to have constant reminders. It's Judgment Day, Judgment Day, Judgment Day. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be always you have a get out of jail free card like Yom Kippur. It's in a few days. No, it's not going to be. It's not always going to be that way. Put a fence. Make a line. I'm not crossing this line. I know that every time I go to this place, I make sins. From now on, not going there. I know that every time I go to this person's house, problems happen. I'm not going there anymore. Make a fence. Why? If you don't make a fence, it says v'yipol hanofel. Yipol hanofel says the fallen one falls. Shouldn't it just say somebody falls? No, it doesn't say somebody falls. It says the fallen one falls. Who's the fallen one falls? Fallen one means that he was already fallen. He was already falling already. And he fell again. What, does he have a mental problem? No. Fallen one is a sinner. Who's that? Me. You. Everybody. Don't go back to yesterday's sins. Don't go back to wasting seed. Don't go back to Eshet Ish. Don't go back to Nida. Don't go back to immodesty. Don't go back to where you were. Why? Because the who says, listen, if you put a fence, you're not going to be the fallen one again. But if you don't put a fence, guess what? You're going to be the fallen one, and the only way for me to get you up is more suffering. It's more suffering. I got to wake you up, got to slap you in the face a couple of times, got to take the money out of the bank account, got to cause you problems. Why? To wake you up. Because you already fallen last year. Can't keep you there. Now last week, Rav Wasserman said a verse from the book of Isaiah. Ki ta'avor b'mayim itcha, says that when you pass through the water, I'm with you. I'm with you. But later also says, even if you go through fire, you won't be touched. Meaning that HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises that if you put this fence around yourself, you preserve yourself from sinning, you do what the Torah says, whether it's water or it's fire, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm with you. Even if you fall, I'm with you. I'm with you. Different feeling. The water, you fall in the water, you get wet. Fire, not exactly wet. Fire hurts, no matter how you look at it. No matter how you look at it. Water doesn't necessarily always hurt. Sometimes you just swallow a little bit and you don't really like it, but you come out, Baruch Hashem, you're safe, everything's okay. Fire always hurts. Always hurts. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, whether it's the fire or it's the water, that's in essence your choice, but I'm with you anyway. I'm with you. Now he continues, and he said, Torah ayon muva b'milim acherot b'makom acher. The same thought is expressed elsewhere in the Torah, in a Song of Songs. Song of Songs by Shlomo HaMelech. The Chachamim say this is Kodesh Kodeshim. In the beginning, when Shlomo HaMelech first showed the Chachamim the Song of Songs, they thought it was a provocative song. But when they realized that it is a not only a holy song, but a song that must have been inspired by Ruach HaKodesh, about the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His people. They said that this is Kodesh Kodeshim. It's more than everything else. It's something out of this world. And there's a lot of secrets in the Song of Songs. And Rav Wasserman uses one of them. He says in the beginning of Song of Songs, in chapter 1, verse number 7, it says, "Tell me, O you, who my soul loves," meaning Hashem is talking to Am Yisrael, "where will you graze your flock?" Well, actually, Am Yisrael is talking to Hashem, sorry. "Where will you graze your flock? Where will you rest them? Under the fiercest sun of harshest exile." So Rav Wasserman says, what is this? What do we learn here? That the afternoon is the most difficult time of the day for the sheep, because at that point the heat is the greatest. And Am Yisrael is asking its shepherd, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how will you sustain your sheep when they arrive at the grimmest period of their exile, the most difficult time? Anti-Semitism is at its peak. Economic crisis, whether it's because the whole world collapsed or simply because the Goyim decided to take everything we have once again. Just like they did at Nazi Germany, just like they did at the pogroms in different countries, whether it would be Romania, Lithuania, and other countries at the same time that very few talk about. Whether it happened in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition and countless other times. Many times we hear about the big stories, but there are many other really big stories that you don't know about. Why? Because the big story that we know about is so big that the other big stories seem insignificant. Now, if you hear today, you hear that 700,000, 800,000 or so, I don't know the last count, of people have died from this coronavirus around the world. Horrible, not good. The truth is, though, 5 million died from cancer. But we got used to it. Got used to it. No one talks about it. You hear about somebody, there's a terrorist in Israel, the Israeli police killed him. News goes crazy. Oh, vicious police, terrible, horrible people, they're persecuting the poor Palestinians. Yeah, he was a terrorist. Oh, no, it's because, why? Because one Arab died, terrorist died. What they don't tell you is that in Syria, they already killed close to 500,000 people of their own. The government killed their own people in the last year. In the streets, they're killing them. Like cockroaches. They're killing their own people. Poisoning them, shooting them, everything inside. You don't hear that though. No one talks about that in the news. 500,000 almost. Why? We're too busy with the Palestinian terrorist that got shot because he was doing terrorism. So you see that the world is confused. What's the big story? What's the small story? In the time of the Holocaust, everyone knows 6 million people died. Surely there's some losers that are denying it. No, it really wasn't 6 years. Nonsense. Bottom line is, whether it's 6 million, 5.9, 6.1, it doesn't make a difference. A lot of people died. What a lot of people don't know is that it wasn't just the Nazis that did it. The Romanians decided, oh, Hitler doesn't like Jews? Okay, we don't like Jews either. Yeah, but you have 170,000 Jews that are your neighbors, that your kids were playing with. They were friends with you. Yeah, let's stop that. So they killed 170,000 Jews. Murdered 170,000 Jews, the Romanians. Did you ever hear about this? No. You look at the history books, you find it. Lithuania, similar. And many other places around the world. Many other places around the world. They murdered their next door neighbors. The Polish, Hashem Yishmor, they were killing Jews like bugs. Why? It's the thing to do. Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed Esav to be Esav for a moment. Because Yaakov wasn't acting like Yaakov for a certain amount of time, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I have to wake Yaakov up. Painful wake up. Why? That's what's called the fire. So yeah, we have the water. We also have the fire. The fire always hurts. Now, the fire is the noontime. The Rav Wasserman is talking about, quoting the Song of Songs by Shlomo Melech. That's the fire. The fire is always difficult. Whether it's 170,000 Jews dying in Romania by their next door neighbors, or countless in Poland, or countless in Lithuania, or countless in other places around the world, other than Nazi Germany, or even by their friends. You know, their friends, the British were really good friends of ours, so they killed a bunch of us too. Really good friends. Wonderful friends. Best friends. Oh, the Americans. Oh, they were like this with us when they rejected our votes. They were trying to say, no, go back to Nazis. Why? They're going to kill us. It's not our problem. Later on, we became friends. Like better kind of friends. But at that moment, there was a decree in the world, on Klal Yisrael, there is no friends. There is no friends. That's the afternoon time that Rav Wasserman is talking about, where all hell breaks loose, nothing makes any sense, and the only thing that can keep you sane, other than pretty much busying yourself running for your life, is pure Emunah. That the shepherd knows what he's doing. Because without Emunah at that moment, if you don't already have it by the time you got there, you're not going to get it at that point. So Rav Wasserman says that Am Yisrael, as a nation, doesn't necessarily always have everybody have Emunah. So they asked the shepherd a question. Who's the shepherd? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the shepherd. Not the false shepherds, the real shepherd, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They ask him. The noontime is the most difficult time of the day for the flock. How do you plan on keeping us alive? What are we going to eat? What are we going to drink? How will you sustain your sheep when they arrive at the worst possible times during this rotten exile for the last 2,000 years? The sheep wander without knowing the way in which they must go. Then comes the answer. The answer is also the following verse in the Song of Songs. In chapter 1, verse number 8, HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds to his daughter Am Yisrael. If you know not where to graze, O fairest of nations, follow the footsteps of the sheep, your forefathers, who traced a straight, unswerving path after my Torah. Then you can graze your tender kids even among the dwellings of the foreign shepherds. HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds to Am Yisrael, his chosen people, and he tells them, you don't know where to go. Why? You're surrounded by 70 wolves. Americans, Germans, Italians. At the time of a Gzirat Shmad, a horrible decree in the world, unfortunately, Rabotai, everyone can turn into an enemy in an instant. Even if your kids were playing Legos the day before. And we've seen that happen time and time again. So how do you survive those days? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, my dear daughter, if you don't know where to go, then you have to follow someone that has experience and survived this journey before. Who survived this journey? Your forefathers. Tzei lech me'akvei atzon. Go in the ways of the footsteps of your ancestors. Now, this should be an obvious answer to us, though. Why? Avraham Avinu, Baruch Hashem. Everybody knows who he is. Everything worked out in the end. Yitzchak, Shtabach Shemo, Upachad Yitzchak. Everyone knows Yitzchak. It worked out for him. Yaakov, Israel. Of course everything worked out in the end. 12 sons, each one is better than the next. Tzadikim, Kedoshim. Everything worked out in the end. Moshe Rabbeinu. No one will ever be like Moshe Rabbeinu. Only person ever spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu face to face. His brother Aaron. Rodef Shalom. Chaser of peace. Brings Am Yisrael to the Torah instead of the Torah to Am Yisrael because he raises Am Yisrael. The Mishnah in Avot says. Everything worked out for Moshe and Aaron. Even if they had, issues. Korach, Datan Aviram, Paro. Everything worked out in the end. David HaMelech, Melech Mashiach. Everything worked out in the end. Everything worked. Shlomo Melech. Everything worked out in the end. They're all in Gan Eden. But were their lives Gan Eden? Not so much. It wasn't a moment of peace. There was constant battles against the Yetzer Hara, constant Emunah tests, constant bitachon tests, constant tests, one after another. The amount of suffering that they had to overcome, not a single one of us, or all of us combined, could overcome. Avraham Avinu decides he believes in Hashem as a little boy. His own father, Terach, takes him and brings him to the king. Who's the king? Nimrod. Says, Nimrod, my son, he's an idol worshiper. Oh yeah, we're all idol worshippers. No, Nimrod. He doesn't believe in you and God as God. He believes in some other God. What? That's a real idol worship. What kind of God do you believe in? He goes, oh, the real God. He goes, but I'm God, he says to him. He goes, no, you're constipated every other day. You have toothaches. You have backaches. Who are you? You're nothing. Nimrod said, I'm going to throw you in a fire. Abraham says, no problem. No problem. Who brought him? His own father. His own father. After he passes the test, they throw him in the fire. The angels come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, let us save him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no. No. Why not? He's the only one that believes in you. Hashem says, exactly. He is the only one in the world that believes in me. He's the only one there. And I'm the only one up here. I'm going to save myself. I have a question. What's the question? There were other religious people at the time. Shem ve'ever. Shem, son of Noach. Tzadikim, called Malki Tzedek. Later on we meet him at the story of Solomon and Gomorrah. So how come HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that Avraham is the only one? There's other tzadikim in the world. Why? Because Avraham later on learns in the yeshiva. How is he going to learn in yeshiva if they're Rishayim? The tzadikim. So what does it mean? I had a thought. They were tzadikim, but they didn't have the same Emunah test as Avraham Avinu did. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, he's the only one with this test in the world. Why? He's the only one that can handle this test. He's the only one in the world that can handle this test. Which means if I gave him that test, he's special. And if he passes it, he'll be remembered forever. Finds out his father was thrown in a fire. Okay, Chazak Baruch HaBa. I admire you forever. Finds out his father waited 100 years to have a kid. Abba, you're the best. Very loyal to Ima, I love you. Grows up, 37 years old. Son, yeah, we gotta tie you up. Bring you as a sacrifice to Hashem. Now, Avraham is an old man already at this point. Yitzchak is the best time of his life. Strong, young. Could have easily give Avraham a nice elbow. Says, you want a sacrifice? Make yourself a sacrifice. Make Ishmael a sacrifice. Make Eliezer a sacrifice. Make something else. Why are you making a sacrifice? What does Yitzchak do? The Gemara Masechet Shabbat says, Yitzchak says to Avraham, Abba, tie me up like an akedah. What's an akedah? What is it called akedah? Akedah, you should read it in Rosh Hashanah, akedah Yitzchak. A million times you said akedah. What's akedah? What is akedah? Akedah, Rabotai, is the way you tie an animal without torturing it, but also without giving it the ability to run away. Why? Because on Shabbat, it wasn't like the animals of today where it has 4 wheels and a steering wheel. The animals of yesterday, they actually had 4 legs and a head. So the animal could walk away without you, without the keys, in those days. So you have to tie it. But you can't just tie the big camel, the horse, or the big animal to a little pole and expect it to stay there. You have to make sure that you tie it sometimes. So what do? If you tie all 4 of its legs to each other, that's torturing it. He can't move. But if you only tie the neck, it's not, what does it do? It's 3 legs. Tie it to each other, where it can move, but he can't run away. So Yitzchak says to his Abba, to Avraham Avinu, says, Abba, tie me up with the legs and hands behind my back, tied to each other, just like an animal. Why? So that way, if last minute, I feel like giving you an elbow because I don't feel like being slaughtered, like, my Yetzirah tells me not to get slaughtered, or my Yetzirah Tov, I'm not really sure, tells me not to get slaughtered, I already committed to the mitzvah. How many people will pass this test? 1. Who? Yitzchak. Not an easy life. Then he has 2 sons. One's Sadiq, one's Rasha, but they both look the same. Yaakov Avinu, his twin brother wants to kill him. Torah says that Yaakov Avinu could have killed Esav. He was very strong. When he arrived at the time of where Lavan was, he was able to do the job of 10 men by himself. Lift the cover off of the water. 10 people would have to come to do it. He did it by himself. He's a very powerful person. Could have killed Esav. But he didn't want to kill him. Then he works for Lavan HaRasha, who cheats him over 100 times. Every day the paycheck changes. Okay, I'm going to pay you $50 an hour. Okay, great. Hey, listen, the check is short. It wasn't 50, it was 5. You're missing a 0. There's a 0 missing, Lavan. Mr. Lavan is a 0 missing in every hour, which means that the check, instead of being 5,000, it's 50. There's a little bit missing. There's 95% missing, 99% missing. Lavan says, no, that's what I said. I said it's $5 now. You should say thank you. What are you, greedy? What do you think this is? What do you think, we're rich here? Okay, fine. $5 an hour. A week later, Mr. Lavan, you said it's $5 an hour, 50, whatever. It's 50 cents. 50 is a 0 missing again. There's a 0 missing. What are you talking about? I told you it's 50 cents. I told you it's 50 cents. What, are you cheating me? No. What kind of family are you? Okay, fine. A week later, Mr. Lavan, it's 5 cents. 5 cents. It's missing. It keeps missing a 0. Where do all these zeros go? Is there like a bank of zeros for my check? Lavan looks at him and goes, what are you talking about? Why you keep cheating me? What's the matter with you? He makes him feel bad about it. 100 times. 100 times. Easy life. Finally, gets married. Next day wakes up, it's the wrong woman. Then he marries the second one. But he has to work for 20 years for this. Finally, get married, she can't have kids. She can't have kids. Rachel can't have kids. He loves her, but she can't have kids. Finally, she has a kid, but she dies shortly later. Second kid dies, Benjamin dies. On top of that, his daughter gets raped. On top of that, his favorite son is sold, kidnapped, he's not really sure. 20 years of his life, he doesn't know where he is. Thought he died, wasn't sure, didn't stop crying for 20 years. Yaakov Avinu. Moshe Rabbeinu lives in a castle. One day wakes up, this is wrong. My people are suffering. What people? You're Egyptian. I'm not Egyptian, I'm a Jew. What Jew? No, come on, go marry some, Fatima or something. You live a life like large, like you're in Abu Dhabi. Build a castle, build this. No. I want to be with the slaves. Yeah, but you realize you go with the slaves, we're going to kill you. Okay, so you kill me. He goes, sacrifice his life. What does he get in return? After he takes Am Yisrael out of slavery, puts his life on the line time and time again, gets him out of Egypt, gets them through Yam Suf, brings them food from heaven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them food from heaven in the merit of who? In the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu. What did he say? Hey, Moshe, we got you. Now we understand what the catch is. Now we understand. The whole time we thought, now we know for sure what's the catch. You're just taking all of our money, tzedakah, it's for you. And on top of it, you want to be with all of our wives. You're a womanizer. That's what they said to Moshe Rabbeinu. They tell him that you're stealing all of our money, and on top of it, you're a womanizer. The two things that he was a perfect angel in, specifically. Why? The Baal Shem Tov says, the things that you try the hardest on, that's what the Satan is going to attack you on. You protect your breed the most, Satan will say, I'm going to attack you there. You protect your eyes the most, Satan's going to send you all types of messages. Why? Number one, he wants you to break. Number two, it's also a kosher stamp. You're good at this. You're kosher in business, everyone's going to call you a thief. Kosher in business, you never stole a penny in your life. All of a sudden, he stole millions of dollars. Yeah, what are you talking about? I never stole a penny. I actually gave all my money away. What are you talking about? I never stole anything. That's the Satan. That's the Satan. Moshe Rabbeinu, only person in history that HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked him to separate from his wife. That's how pure he was. What does Am Yisrael say? Oh yeah, you're a womanizer. Didn't take a penny from Am Yisrael. He even says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they didn't even pay me for my donkey that I used to go get them from Egypt. Even the donkey didn't pay from my own pocket. What they say? You're taking all of our money. You're a thief. Aaron HaKohen, all day, all night, chasing peace, trying to help everybody. What does he get? His two tzaddikim's son died. What? Chazal said there's 5 different mistakes they made. Point being is, 2 kids die in his life. On top of it, he's connected to the sin of the golden calf. Because he saw his brother-in-law get murdered by Am Yisrael for not wanting to build him a golden calf. So they murdered him. What is Aaron going to do? He tried to buy some times, but didn't really work out this plan. Point being is, he's connected to it. David HaMelech, Chachamim say he didn't live 15 minutes without problems. His whole life full of problems. Non-stop. The righteous king, Shaul, wanted to kill him for years. Shaul was a righteous king. So righteous, Chachamim say that if the tables were turned, and David HaMelech was the first king, and Shaul HaMelech was supposed to be the second king, and David was going to try to kill Shaul, Hashem would have let Shaul kill David. That's how righteous Shaul was. Shaul was tzaddik, but he had ruach shtut get into him, Yetzirah got into him, made him think that David is trying to steal the kinghood. So he tried to kill him. On top of it, he promised him his daughter to marry her. What happens? David HaMelech wins, marry the daughter. Shaul says, no, I'm going to give my daughter to somebody else. Yeah, but I already married her. Eh. So what? He has to live with this. Later on, one of his sons decides, Avshalom decides, he wants to kill his father, he wants to kill David. Another son rapes his daughter. One son that he has rapes his daughter. Incest. Nightmare of a life. Shlomo Melech wanted to bring Mashiach to different ways that are beyond our imagination. Making peace among the nations, making the whole world Jewish. Failed in his mission to the extent where some Chachamim said that they think that maybe he lost his Olam HaBa. Difficult. But yet every single one of these tzaddikim that I just mentioned, alvai, I wish we were simply the dust under their feet that they walked on one day in their life. Their lives, according to our standards of what we think is good life, far, far away. Nothing good about it. But the eternal life, nothing better than it. So it all depends on what you consider life. Now, so if we're going to look for guidance of how to overcome the heat of the afternoon, the most difficult time of the exile, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, look at your forefathers, that they themselves, as leaders and as individuals, overcame the afternoon time of their time. He's not going to bring us some theoretical knowledge. He's not going to give you some homeless guy that wrote a book of how to become rich in hopes that enough people will buy it and make him rich. How to make people rich? Write books about how to make people rich. The joke of the year, but it's done every year. Self-help gurus helping themselves get rich. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't work that way. He says, you want to learn? Go learn from somebody who did it. He was in the fire and he survived. Because the best advice comes from people who have failed and overcome the obstacle. That same exact test. And Mesillat Yesharim, the RaMCHaL in chapter 3 says that life is like a maze. A gan mevucha, it's like a maze. We go into these parks and they have these bushes and it's shaped like a maze. And you know, when you're in it, you have no idea where the center is, where the beginning is, right, left, all seems the same to you. He says, that's life. If you want to survive, you want to get out of there, you have to ask somebody that did it. Fastest way out is not to figure it out yourself. Fastest way out is to go ask somebody that did it already. Hey, you know the way out? Yeah, okay, show me. Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero and try to figure it out yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of people like to be heroes. No, I don't need your help. I'm going to do it myself. Okay, do it yourself. Break your head. What you could have done in 5 minutes takes you 5 years. Why do people do that? Ego. Ego. Huge ego. I want to do it myself. I want to do it myself. Who also has an ego? Little babies. Little babies have egos. Why? What do they want to do? He's 1 year old, 2 years old. Myself. I want to eat myself. I want to go myself. I want to drive myself. Yeah, but you're 2 years old. I want myself. That's all they want. Now, if you're 2 years old, you say myself, it's cute. It's cute. I'll give you a little binky maybe, a little bottle, some milk. It's cute. It's cute. You want to say myself. It's cute. You want to drive a car by yourself. It's cute. I'm not going to let you drive, but it's cute you want to drive by yourself. It's cute you want to eat by yourself. And if you spill, you say it's still cute. But when you're 20 years old and you still want to do yourself, when Avraham Avinu did it, it's not cute. It's not cute. There's nothing cute about it. Why? You have Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu did it. Why don't you listen to him? Moshe Rabbeinu did it. Why don't you listen to him? You think you do better than them? It's not cute. You're not 2 years old. Stop asking to do it yourself. Listen to the instructions, follow it, and guess what? You'll save yourself an enormous amount of time and anguish. Because doing it yourself, it's not going to be cute. It's going to be painful. And the only reason you want to do it yourself is because of ego. Now what's the problem with having an ego and trying to do it yourself? It's because it leads you not only to pain, not only to wasting time, but also to a life full of sins that could potentially destroy your eternity. Because the worst thing that can happen to you is not failure. The worst thing that can happen to you is success when you're doing it yourself. The worst thing that can happen to you is you succeeding by yourself. That's the worst. You're thinking, no, the worst thing can happen, I'm going to try to go through the door and I'm going to run into the wall. That's the worst thing. No. The worst thing is you're going to try to enter the gate that Hashem says to enter by yourself, without Chazal, without the sages, without Avraham Avinu, without Moshe Rabbeinu. You're just going to enter by breaking down the door. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. Why? Because at that moment you're going to think you're right for doing it that way. And you're going to continue trying to enter the gates by yourself and create a whole new Torah. This is why Kadosh Baruch Hu says, follow the sheep that were before you. He doesn't say do it yourself. He doesn't say think about it, delve over it, be patient, then do it. No. He says simply, go follow the ones that succeeded before you. Why? They were the ones that did it. Now it's already done. Now there's already footsteps to the right path. Anything other than this existing path, existing footsteps, is not the way I want you to go. Yeah, but what if I can get there in a different way? Hashem says, yes, you can get there a different way, but that's not what I want. Now, if you do it anyway, it's not the will of Hashem. It's your will. And your will get you into a lot of trouble. What are some of the examples of this? There is a halachic term that when they discuss new crop during the year, it's forbidden to eat the new crop until the 16th of Nisan, the month of Nisan. Because Chadash Asur min Torah, that it's new crop, it's forbidden according to the Torah to eat it until the 16th of Nisan. So Chazal took this term of Chadash Asur min Torah, that new is forbidden according to the Torah, and applied it in different places. The Khatam Sofer, in his responsa, the Khatam Sofer, in Chelek Aleph, Siman 28. Someone asks the Khatam Sofer, Alav Shalom, a question. Now, if you ask a nobody a question, they give you an answer, they don't give you an answer, doesn't really make much of a difference. But if you ask the biggest rabbi in the world a question, and not only does he answer you, but he gives you an extensive and elaborate answer, page after page after page after page, You would think this question is a big question. If the Gadol Hador is going to stop his life to go address this question, it must be a big question. Complicated question. Where was Moshe Rabbeinu after he left Egypt, but before he came back? I mean, it's a period of 60 years. Where did he go? That's a big question. So the Midrash says he was in Cush for 40 years. But that's not the question they're asking. They're not asking the Khatam Sofer this question. What are they asking the Khatam Sofer? There is a Bet Knesset. And the Bet Knesset has a few donors who got some money together and they're expanding the Bet Knesset, the synagogue, to be bigger, fancier, new walls and ceilings and chairs, everything. Now, they want this Bet Knesset to be truly beautiful. So, they want to have the bima where the Chazan, the Baal Koreh, reads from the Torah, instead of it being in the middle of the room, to be close to the Aron HaKodesh, connected to it. Why? Because that way, there's more room for more seats. And it's also more pretty. More seats, more elaborate. It's not this, bima in the middle of the room, kind of like killing the space. It's like you can't really do anything around it there. It's like, each row has, 50 seats, but now where the bima is, you can only really have like 14 on each side because the bima, you can't really be too close. It kind of kills a lot of space, this bima thing. So we figured, we're going to put this bima right next to the Aron HaKodesh, right there, connected to it. Now let me ask you a question. Is there a problem with this? If you say yes, you're a liar. There's no problem with this whatsoever. What's the problem? Looks prettier, takes up less space, more people can pray, more people can enjoy the beauty of the shul. What's the problem? What's the problem? Needless to say, what is the Khatam Sofer spending a whole section in his response answering this question? It should either say yes or no, finished. Yes, allowed, no, not allowed. Well, if you want to give an explanation, 3 words later, no big deal. Khatam Sofer goes into this answer, and he gives you an explanation that you would have never thought in your life. Ultimate conclusion. He says, the Rambam, in Ilchot Tfilah, chapter 11, Halakha number 3, specifically says that the bima needs to be in the middle of the shul. So everyone can have the same opportunity to hear the Baal Koreh. Khatam Sofer says, if the Rambam wrote it 900 years ago, surely it's the same today. Why? Chadash asur min Torah. New is forbidden by the Torah. What's new? What's new? You wanted to take the bima for your elaborate idea. That's new. That's new. That's not our tradition. Our tradition is to have the bima in the middle of the room. That's the tradition. That's the tradition. That's what we do. Where does it say it in the Torah? Rambam said it. No, in the written Torah. Rambam said it. Why do you need more than the Rambam? Once the Rambam said it, that you don't need anything else. The fact that you think you need anything else, that's a bigger problem. You think that there is something else that's new. It's your idea. You think that all of these sages that have toiled over every single minor detail of every single mitzvah, you're going to come 1,000 years later with your little puny brain that you think is bigger, because it's full of water, you're going to think you're going to bring something new. Khatam Sofer says, En Chadash, nothing. It's asur. And he even says again, in different sections, same section Aleph, but in Siman 148, He says, I hate the news. What does it mean, the news? Not CNN. Not Fox News. What's news? Anything new. I don't like anything new. Why? New is dangerous. And that's what Rav Wasserman continues by saying. He says, search in the ways and the footsteps of your ancestors. Choose the path in which they appear. Don't go in any new way, in any novel way, which your ancestors rejected. For though all paths are fraught with danger, the new ones are especially dangerous. You're going to say, yeah, but if I go away, it's dangerous. If I go that way, it's dangerous. Yes, they're both dangerous. But that one, Avraham Avinu went. It's dangerous. There's fire there. But Avraham Avinu went, meaning that's the way to go. That one is new. You don't see the fire, but it's more dangerous than Avraham. Why? That one we know is successful. That one has a track record. This one, we don't know nothing about it. We don't go anywhere, no. Now, the Gaon Vilna was a genius like no other, and hence why he was called the Gaon. Rabbi Yaron Reuven was called the Gaon Vilna, the genius of the place called Vilna. And when he came to Vilna, he had one policy. I don't want to be the head rabbi. I don't want any job. I just want to learn Torah. 22 hours a day he would learn. He also had 24 hours like us. He didn't have 30 hours a day. 22 hours a day he would learn. And his sleep wasn't 2 hours consecutive. He would sleep in 15-minute increments. I don't know how that's humanly possible, but apparently it is. Either way, they don't say stories about like us like that. Now, what was his rule to the people? I'll come to Vilna. I'll come. But I don't want a job. Okay, but Rabbi, we need you. Regular things, you guys can handle. The only time you're allowed to bother me and get me is if there's something new. If there's a new policy, a new takana, then you get me. I'm willing to sacrifice my Torah for that. Meaning I'll stop learning for the sake of handling something new. Why? Because new is dangerous. New is dangerous. So one time, the people of the town got really frustrated that there's a lot of poor people in town, but there's not enough money given to them because there's a lot of poor visitors that are coming. Also, that are also getting money from the people. So they wanted to make a rule. No more giving to poor visitors. Somebody is poor, comes to visit, collect money, don't give him anymore. Why? There's enough poor people in Vilna. Give to the local people. So, this should be a law in Vilna. People said, wait, well, this is new. We have to get the Gaon Vilna. We have to get his permission. So, they go to the Rav. Rav, please, I'm sorry to bother you. We need your help. There's a takana, a new rule in town we want to pass. Okay, what's the rule? It says we want to forbid the townspeople from giving any money to visitors that are collecting money to the poor. So we could make sure that everybody gathers their money and just supports the local poor people. And the Gaon Vilna got very frustrated with them. He said, didn't I tell you only to bother me if there's something new? I said, look, but Kvod Harav, this is new. This rule has never been in Vilna. Until now, we've been given to everybody. But now we're going to make a rule just to give it to the visitors. And the guy says to them, this is not new. Although it may be new in Vilna, this is in the Torah. Where is it? Sodom and Gomorrah. They did the same exact thing as you. They didn't want to help any visitors. You weren't allowed to give to the homeless the visitor. Go on Lot. Why? Because when Lot's daughter fed some poor guy that came to town, you know what the town did? No. Not allowed to feed anybody poor from out of town. But because you did it, we're going to put dvash, good honey on you, and let the bees eat you instead. As your punishment, to make sure that it encourages everybody else to follow us and not follow you. So you guys don't want to do anything new. You just want to be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Not new. They understood pretty clearly what to do with their new idea and which garbage pail to throw it in. With this new innovative idea. Nu Rabotai, Asur min Torah. Nu is forbidden by the Torah. Now, the problems that you have today is that we live in a generation where it seems like there's something new every day. Some rabbi, some speaker, somebody wants to release a new video, a new book, a new innovative idea. Something that the world has never heard of before. Now, the Steipler Gaon of Kanievsky's father, everyone understood pretty clearly that he had Ruach HaKodesh. And in his Sefer, B'chayei Olam, he writes that a yeshiva bachur learns, but sometimes has Emunah problems. Has problems, Emunah, missing money, can't find a shidduch, all types of different things, problems of life. But he learns Torah, but he has, like everybody else, has different Emunah, tests. And all of a sudden he has Emunah tests, all of a sudden a bunch of new questions that he never had before appear. You're missing a little bit of money to pay the rent, all of a sudden you are asking, how come Hashem did this, this, and this? Like, what does that have to do with your money problems? All of a sudden, all those questions you never had are important. So the Steipler Gaon says, anytime you have a yeshiva bachur come to you, says he has questions, Emunah issues, the first thing you got to do, before you answer his questions, the ER unit, the Emunah recovery unit that you use to get him, just before you give him the question, before you give him the medicine itself, first you got to give him the injection. Emunah, what is it? It says, my dear son, you heard of the Rambam? Oh, of course the Rambam. You heard of the Ramban? Oh, you heard of the Rabbi Akiva? Yeah, sure. You learn all these people in the Gemara and in the Poskim. You know all these people, right? Now, you do realize, son, they're geniuses, right? Gaonim. Of course. Yeah, Rabbi, I'm not saying, I don't have any questions for the Rambam. No, I'm just asking. No. Rambam is genius. Yeah, genius. Even the Goyim agrees a genius. One of the 18 most important people in history. The Goyim say. They don't realize. A lot more than 18. But anyway. From Moshe to Moshe, there was nobody like Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu to Moshe the Rambam. Now, the Rambam was a genius. Yeah, the Ramban was a genius. Rabbi Akiva was a genius. Moshe Rabbeinu, geniuses, right? Now, do you think that your question is new? And they didn't ask the same question as you? No, Rabbi, obviously I know they asked the question. Now, obviously, if they asked, you don't know what their answer is, but the point is, you do realize they asked the same questions as you, right? And they still had a test even bigger than yours, right? Yes, right? Now, did they stay Jewish? They stay religious? They stay frum? They continue to go to shul? Continue putting on tefillin? Continue keeping Shabbat? Eating kosher? Yes. No? So if these geniuses stayed frum, obviously they knew what they were doing. So, don't start going crazy because you got a few questions where you don't know where the answer is. Don't think for a second there's no answer and people much smarter than you, much bigger than you, went through this and more and they stayed firm. It says this is the ER. Before you give him the answer for his question, you need to know bigger people than you ask the same question and more and stayed firm anyway. So don't worry, regardless of whether you like my answer or don't like my answer, just know Rambam has an answer. Now, in the world today, people want to bring new things. One of the most atrocious places that's constantly taken advantage of is in the world of conversion. A few years ago, a couple of people came out and they called themselves rabbis, Orthodox nonetheless, and they said that according to them, not the Rambam, according to them, everyone for the last 800 years since the Rambam is wrong. Everyone is wrong. Why? According to them, the Goyim can and should keep Shabbat. Even though the Rambam says clearly, a Goy that keeps Shabbat is stealing. It's inventing a new religion. Unless he's in the process of conversion. So what? Just he's looking to stay a Goy. He's looking to stay a Noahide. But he wants to keep Shabbat like a Jew. Rambam says not allowed. But according to the rabbis of the 2000s, everybody's wrong. All the Gedolim for the last 1,000 years are wrong. Later on, one of them said, yeah, I guess, even though we wrote a book about it, and a bunch of people still think it's true, he says, no, I think maybe I was wrong. The other one became like an exercise instructor. I'm serious. He did. Became an exercise instructor. I don't know. He lost 300 pounds, so I guess he knows how to exercise. Halacha, not so much. Another guy, he himself was born not Jewish. And he went to a conversion. He converted. And he decided one day that he's a rabbi. Decided that he's a rabbi because he learned a few books, and his friend happened to be a rabbi, that he made himself a rabbi probably. He said, okay, you make me a rabbi, I make you a rabbi, we're both rabbi. Okay, how do we become rabbis? Make a YouTube channel. Now, his frustration is that it's hard to convert to Judaism. Christianity, where he came from, easy to convert. You want to be a Christian? Go jump in the ocean, you're Christian. Actually, you don't even have to jump in the ocean, just pretend. Nothing. You don't have to do anything to be a Christian. You don't have to do anything for any other. Judaism, it's hard to be a Jew. Why? You have to live a life. You have to pretty much prove, not only yourself, but the people around you that you really want this. And sometimes it costs a lot of money, and a lot of time, and a lot of anguish, and this and that. Not supposed to be easy to be a Jew. Why? Just not. He didn't like this. Why? Because there's a lot of prejudice against converts, because a lot of people are stupid and don't understand the significance of converts. And unfortunately, some people are even racist against converts, which is even worse. So surely there's a lot of problems in the conversion world. Surely there's a lot of persecution against the converts. Surely anyone who persecutes the converts will get punished severely. But needless to say, it's still the way that we do it. Now you can say, he says, no, but the Shulchan Aruch says, in the third halacha, and it also says in the Gemara as well, if a convert wants to come to you, you teach him a few minor mitzvot and you convert him right away. And the only debate is whether you convert him literally that same day or after his Brit Milah. Bottom line is, it's not the same process that we are going through today, where someone has to go and learn in a course or in a shiur for an extended period of time, and by the time you get to the Bet Din, you're like a mini rabbi or rabbanit already. You're already living a frum life for at least a year or two. No, in the old days, according to the Gemara, it was much, much easier. So he says it should go back to the old-fashioned way. What's written in the Shulchan Aruch? What's written in the Gemara? Why are you guys changing the Torah? Why should I go and wait for Rabbi Reuven one day to wake up and say on the right side of the bed, he says, no, today's your day of conversion. Why do I have to wait for Rabbi Reuven? Why do I have to wait for the Bet Din? I'm going to convert right away. Why? Because Shulchan Aruch says right away. Yeah, but Habibi, that Shulchan Aruch was applicable, and that way was applicable to the rabbis of the generation. Now the rabbis that came after saw that there's a lot of problems with doing it this way. Why? A lot of fake converts. A lot of people say, listen, I want to convert. Why do you want to convert? Because I want to be a Jew. No, really. Why do you want to convert? Well, because the guy that I'm going to marry, he happens to have $100 million, so I want to be a Jew because of that. What about Shabbat? Yeah, that's good too. What do you do with Shabbat? When do you eat it? No, Shabbat is a day of the week. It's a day of the week. What do you mean? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What do you mean? What is that, like a Tuesday? No, you have to keep Shabbat. Where do you keep it? In a cage? No, Shabbat today. It's Saturday, you fool. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll keep that. Where do we put it? How many times a year do you have to do it? People come to the Beit Din, they don't know nothing. They still sometimes pray to Yoshke, still pray to some Buddha, but they convert them. So the Rabbanim said, listen, no more of this. We have to make sure that someone can vouch for you. You go through a process based on the knowledge of the rabbi that's sponsoring you to make sure that he can vouch for you. That you're not some faker, you're not marrying because of marriage, you're not marrying because of money, you're not marrying because of it's your new way for the day, but maybe tomorrow you'll change your way. So we have to make sure. There's enough problems already. Why? Because the problem is if you're a woman, you convert, and in reality you're a faker, all of your kids are green. Now your kids may or may not think that they're Jewish as they grow up, but the reality is that they want to get married, and other people, it creates problems. So you have to make sure that we're careful with it. So it has to be a process. How long is the process? Depending on you, depending on your sponsoring rabbi, depending on the Beit Din, and so on and so forth. But there has to be a formal process where you are guided more or less to make sure that it's an authentic conversion. How long it takes, again, depends on different variables. But it should definitely not be overnight, like was implied, if you will. This overnight rabbi / convert didn't like this so much. So I say, listen, they're ripping everybody off. They changed the Torah. They're charging for conversions. Conversions should be free because I said it should be free. It doesn't need to go to the Beit Din. It could be to me and my couple of friends, and we're going to send you to the beach, and everyone can convert. And what does this turn into? Christianity. That's what it is. Why? You see this guy's videos, and he shows you a bunch of Christians going to the beach without a clue of what Judaism is. Not a single one of them has an inclination of what Judaism really is. Nothing. Why? All they know is what they heard this guy say in a video. That's it. They have no concept of what a community is. They have no concept of what a Beit Din is. They have no concept of what the sages are. Why? Because they're being taught by this guy to constantly disrespect the sages. By comparing themselves to the sages. And every video says, yeah, the Rambam said it, but I don't think the Rambam's right here. And this thing was only said by the Achronim. It's not really the time before the Tanaim. So we don't really have to listen to Abaye. Yeah, but Abaye is in almost every page in the Gemara. Yeah, but he's only an Amora. He's only an Amora. Which the Gemara says resurrect the dead. But no, he's only. Why? Because this guy doesn't know anything. He decides he's only. So all of his students, what's happening? He claims that he has converted, to fake new religion that he's creating, 1,000 people. So what does that mean, Rabotai? We have 1,000 more Erev Rav. That's what we have. I would be astonished if there's a single real convert among them. Why? When the foundation is rotten, it is very hard to get a delicious fruit. Very hard. Could be. I hope there is. For the sake of Am Yisrael. But the reality is, Rabotai, this is what happens when people want something new. Now what transpires as a result of this disaster? You have 1,000 new Erev Rav and more being created every month, because he has this new thing every month. On top of that, heresy becomes something that becomes standard among him and his students, supporters, and so on. Furthermore, the disaster hasn't even begun yet. Why? This is still first generation. Now what's going to happen? These people that converted on the beach like a Christian and are being taught to disrespect the sages like Christians, guess what? Some of them may have kids one day. And those kids are going to grow up thinking they're Jewish. Their own version of Judaism, but Judaism nonetheless. And they may meet a Rivka, a Rachel, a Chana, that's a real Jew. And they're going to want to marry this Chana or Rachel or so on. And guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, she's Jewish, he's not. And one day, because they're probably going to go to this guy to wed them also, because the Arab love stays, among each other. But one day, Rachel and this other guy that thinks she's Jewish but he's really not, they're going to have little puppies. They're going to have little birds coming out one day, right? And those little birds are going to want to get closer to the roots. Where they want to go? They want to go to Israel. They want to go to Eretz Israel. And then they go to arrive to Eretz Israel, and they grow up, and they want to get married. And what do they want to marry? They want to marry a Jew from Israel, right? I can't get... What? Not only that, I want to get a from birth Jew. I want to get somebody that's authentic, from the source. I want it to be like Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson. Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson comes and he said, okay, yeah, well, you're nice, you're good looking, everything's good. Okay, where'd you come from? Oh, I came from here, I came from this. Okay, fine, let's get married. Okay, listen, last minute before, the family's just met and everything, the rabbi, I don't know, this rabbi's crazy. His name is, I don't know, this guy's from Florida, he's crazy. But he's asking to see the conversion paperwork. I don't know why, but you're already a second generation convert, right? Yeah, but he's asking to see the conversion of your mother or your grandmother. Can you show it to us? Yeah, sure, we'll get it. Okay, we'll get back to you. Oh, email, in those days, probably your future is going to be like, scanning with your eyes or something. Anyway, show the paperwork. And the rabbi's going to open it. Okay. I'm sorry, son, she's a Goya. You can't marry her. I'm sorry, my dear, he's a goy. You're not allowed to marry him. What do you mean they converted? This is not a valid conversion. It was done on the beach, like a Christian. And their grandparents don't even know what kashrut is. They're Karaites. They're heretics. They still believe in Yoshke. They still have a Slav in their house. But they watch YouTube. And you know what's going to happen? Those two poor kids that have nothing to do with the original heresy are going to suffer the most. Why? Because he already, by the time he decided I want to marry her, he thought she was Jewish. She, by the time she wanted to marry him, everybody thought she was Jewish. So more or less, they already were planning the future together. To find out now that no, one of them is not Jewish. And now, of course, the families are not going to accept it. One of the families says, no, listen. No, you're not going to marry this. You're not going to marry that one. You're going to miss. And guess what? Everybody's going to hate each other. And those kids are going to hate those parents for the rest of their lives. Why did you do this to me? Why did you convert on some beach by some faker and not go according to the sages of the day that said, go to a recognized Bet Din that has real Dayanim, real Chachamim, with a real process that follows what the opinion of the day is, and not the opinion of YouTube. Why did you do it? Why? Because you wanted to save a few $1,000s? Because you wanted to save a few months? Who said you were ready in a few months? Maybe you needed to go through a few years. And maybe you would have decided not to be a Jew. Maybe you'd have decided that you want to be a Jew, but have even a better version of it. Who's to say that you had to expedite the process? Who's to say that you had to cheat? The sages of the day said that's the process. Whether you agree or disagree with it doesn't matter. If you want to be a Jew, you have to stick to the system at place. Agree or disagree is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Can it be done better? Surely we're all Monday morning quarterbacks and we can say this could be better, that could be better, this could be better, that could be better. All of us could do it. Every system can improve. But this is what we have. This is what we stick to. Why? Chadash asur min Torah. New is forbidden by the Torah. It's forbidden by the Torah. And you say, yeah, but isn't the current system technically new to the Shulchan Aruch? Yes, but this is an approved new. Why is it an approved new? Because this new is not new out of some new person's innovation. This is the sages of the day realize the dangers of the day for the flock that's called Am Yisrael, and are trying to preserve it by putting these protective measures. So we don't have a bunch of goyim that pretend like they're Jews, and a bunch of Jews that don't know the difference between them and the goyim. This is what we have a system for. You can't just decide, I'm going to go against the system, and I'm going to create a new system, because that destroys everything. In the conversion world, Rabotai Karim, it's happening because of fakers on both sides. Sometimes it's a fake rabbi. Sometimes it's a fake student. Sometimes the student cares less about Judaism, but he cares about what people think. So he says to his non-Jewish girlfriend, listen, pretend to the rabbi that you're going to keep everything. Every time we show up at the Beit Din, you wear the longest dress you can possibly find. And just pass the test so we can make my parents happy. Pass the test so we could get everything then. Say, as soon as you're married, we're going to go to Cancun. We're going to go to the beach. We're going to go hang out. Yeah, well, what if the rabbi finds out? Don't worry, I took care of the rabbi. Gave him a nice check. He's not going to say nothing. I gave him a nice $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. With that kind of money, the rabbi all of a sudden forgot how to speak. And what do you think? It's not happening? Countless stories we have of this. Of people paying off some faker in Russia, in California, in different places around the world. Somebody writes them a check for 10, 20, 30, 50, even in some case $100,000. The second after conversion, they're already eating pork. Meaning no interest whatsoever in Judaism. But they're willing to get this certificate so he can make the grandmother happy, or the neighbors happy, or somebody, to look good. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a student. Sometimes it's the rabbi. Sometimes it's a businessman that calls himself a rabbi. Where he tells you, listen, what do you want to convert? Okay, $20,000, $15,000, $10,000. Okay, what about my desire to be a Jew? Yeah, that's fine. With the money comes the interest. As long as you have the money, I know you want to do it. If you don't have the money, you probably don't want to be a Jew bad enough. Now what? Should we be done free? No, it can't be done free. Why? People have to make a living. People have to eat. Just like your lawyer needs to eat, your doctor needs to eat, your grocery store needs to, everybody needs to eat. So it can't be free, but it can't be an exorbitant amount of money. It needs to be within reason. The point being is, money is not a motivator to convert people or not convert people, to convert or not to convert. But needless to say, people need to understand that there has to be dues paid. Not just money. Time, effort, sacrifice. All of that has to take place in order for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to accept you. Now you can say, what do you mean? It's not Hashem that's doing it, it's you. Oh, so you're kofir too. You don't think that Hashem is the one that's delaying your conversion? You think it's the rabbi that's delaying it? Oh, so you're a heretic also. You definitely shouldn't convert. And this leads us to, I believe, the ultimate point. Is that Rav Wasserman finishes this point by saying, what is the way in which our fathers went? The way of the Torah. Meaning you have a question, which way to go during the most difficult times? He says, go in the way of the previous sheep before you, your forefathers. Follow their footsteps. Which footsteps did they go to? He says the footsteps that lead to the Torah. This being so, we have a clear indication of what system and what means we must take in our self-defense. So Here Rav Wasserman tells us, you have a tradition. You have a Mesorah. You have a way of the sages of yesteryear and the sages of today are saying to go. They say, you do. Disagree? Too bad. You become a sage, you'll understand maybe what the sages of yesterday said. Until then, you have no right to disagree with them. Why? You are not an expert. Now, if you went to a hospital because somebody needed a life-saving surgery, and you decided to say, no, I don't think it should be on the heart. No, I don't think so. I think the problem is with the brain. At first, maybe, especially if you wear glasses and a suit, you're going to look sophisticated and say, wait, doctor, where are you from? So, no, I'm not a doctor. So how do you know it's the brain and not the heart? Well, that's what I think it is. What medical school did you go to? Where you're not a doctor. So what medical school did you go to? I didn't go to medical school. Oh, so you didn't go to medical school and you're not a doctor. So what makes you think that you can tell without even looking at the body that you can tell that it's the brain, not the heart? What makes you think? Oh, I watched some show on Discovery Channel on TV and it's always the brain. It's never the heart. Especially when it's like a drama series. It's always the brain because it's more difficult. You're not an expert. Your advice is not welcome. Your opinion is not welcome. Yeah, but isn't Judaism all about questions? Questions. Not opinions. Questions. Meaning, you ask the question, you find the sage that answered, and you say thank you. Now you want to bring something new? New's no good. New's no good. Why? You need to be qualified to be able to know if your new is kosher. If your new is valid. Now, the reality is, Rabotai, is that today you have a situation where people do not understand the value of the sages, the value of the Chachamim. They are constantly insulting the Torah in different ways without even realizing it. And one of the most common reasons is because of a lack of understanding and belief in Hashgacha Pratit, which means divine providence. That Hashem is the one that's monitoring the world, monitoring your life, and is allowing everything that's happening to happen. Meaning, you succeeded because Hashem decided. You failed because Hashem decided. You converted because Hashem allowed it. You did not, Hashem didn't allow it. You got married because Hashem decided that someone will marry you. And people have a very hard time getting their head around this. There was a research done in the last 2 or 3 years by an organization into the modern Orthodox world, asking them about their Emunah, their bitachon, their servitude of Hashem. 40% of modern Orthodox Jews say they believe that Hashem watches everything. Now this may sound like good. Why? Because when we say Shabbat, only about 20% keep Shabbat. So you figure that if 20% keep Shabbat, that means 80% don't keep Shabbat. So if 40% of the modern Orthodox believe that there's divine providence, that's a good thing. Wrong. Why? Because when we're talking about Shabbat, we're talking about the entire total of Am Yisrael. When we're talking about modern Orthodox, in essence, we're talking about the religious people, not the Haredim, not the ultra-Orthodox, but, a good 500,000 to 1 million, or at least, modern Orthodox, which consider themselves more or less religious. So if only 40% of them or so, give or take a couple of percentage points, say that they believe in Hashgacha Pratit, in divine providence, that means that according to the Torah, almost 60% are considered 100% kufrim, heretics. That's how bad it is. Why? If you don't believe that Hashem watches everything, you have a serious fundamental problem. Now, some of the examples that we see in the Torah of Hashgacha Pratit happen both in good and bad. One of the examples, in a good way, is the Gemara in Masechet Yoma, page 69a. Says that the Kutim, the reform, the conservative of the day of Shimon HaTzadik, the Kohen Gadol, the reform people, the heretics, the ones that were trying to distort the Torah but still pretend like they're religious. They didn't like the ultra-Orthodox. They didn't like Shimon HaTzadik. He was too religious for them. So what did they do? They went to Alexander Macedon, Alexander the Great. And they said to him, these Jewish people, these Orthodox, they don't like you. And guess what? They want you to die because you're a goy. You're Gentile. They don't like Gentiles. So, and they do it every day in their temple. So give us the permission to use your army to destroy that temple. Alexander the Great said, I'll come with you. I'll do it too. Now you would think this is terrible. Why? If the guy himself is offended to such an extent that he's going to go and destroy the temple himself, this is the worst thing in the world. But we find out later on, this is divine providence. This is one of the many divine providence steps that took place behind the scenes. So, Alexander the Great, as he's conquering the entire world, decides to go to Israel, to the Bet HaMikdash, to go destroy it. Message comes to Shimon HaTzadik, which is one of the last members of the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the great men of the Great Assembly, some of which were prophets, all of which had Ruach HaKodesh. And news gets to him, and without a hesitation, Shimon HaTzadik says, Alexander the Great's coming. No problem. He puts on, the Gemara says he puts on his Kohen Gadol uniform. The 8th piece of clothing you're only allowed to wear to go into the Kodesh Kodashim. And the Gemara argues about this. How is he wearing this to go see a king? I mean, he's only allowed to go see it for the King of Kings. What is he doing using it for this? That's really why it's even in his Gemara. Anyway, Shimon HaTzadik puts it on, and he says to all of the important people, let's go meet him. You know he's coming to kill you, right? Let's go say hello. He's coming with an army, millions of people. Spears, guns, this, that. Yeah, let's go say hi. All night they walk. And the army of Alexander is coming, all night they walk. They have this zealousness to go destroy this little country. And the tzaddikim also have a zealousness to go meet the one that wants to destroy them. All night they both walk, the Gemara says. As the morning hours come, they both see each other at the opposite sides of the mountain. Alexander says to the Kutim, the reform, says, who are these? The Kutim say, those are the ones that are going against your Highness. These few hundred people going against me. Millions of people here. That makes sense. Let's get closer. As he gets closer, Shimon HaTzadik and his people come closer. Hello! Bruchim Habayim, Shalom Aleichem. As he gets closer, Alexander sees this unique person in the crowd. Doesn't look like anybody else. This person, as he gets closer and closer, he recognizes the image. He gets off of his horse. Everyone stops. He gets closer to that person and he bows to him on the floor like a king. The Kutim are as disappointed as can possibly be and said, Your Highness, why are you bowing to this Jew? Why are you bowing to this Shimon HaTzadik? Alexander says to them, every night that I go to sleep, I see an image with his face saying to me, it's because of these people that I am being allowed to win all of my wars. HaKadosh Baruch Hu already planned this since the time Alexander was born. Giving Alexander a repetitive dream with an angel telling him, this face, Shimon HaTzadik's face of the future, this face, this person is the only reason why you're going to win the war. This one. Years before it happened. After he gets up, he says to Shimon HaTzadik, why did you come to meet me? Shimon says, could it be that the place that prays for your highness be destroyed? He says, who wants to destroy it? He says, those heretics that's standing next to you, those heretics. Alexander the Great says to him, there is yours to do as you will. Shimon's people take those heretics and rip them to shreds. They make enough holes into them to make a little sensenet, a little basket. You could hang, maybe sell in a flea market. Why? You're not allowed to be merciful to the Reshaim. Even if you're a big tzaddik, the bigger tzaddik, you're not allowed to be merciful to the Reshaim. But if Shimon HaTzadik and his followers had a microscopic Emunah problem, they would have, instead of going towards the Alexander, would have ran away. They would have hid. They would have done 1.5 million other things. But they understood Hashem runs the world. If it's time to die, it's time to die. If it's time to live, it's time to live. No person will decide who lives and who dies. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. But unfortunately, Rabotai, sometimes we have heretics that look like they're right because they're winning for a while. There was a person like that named Achav. Achav was one of the evil Jewish kings, and in Sefer Melachim, the Kings 1, in chapter 22, verse 28 through 31, the Achav has been winning his battles. Achav has been doing whatever he wants, even though he's openly a heretic, openly an idol worshiper, and he's married to a Goya. The prophet Ido comes to him. The prophet Yeshayahu comes to him, comes to Achav in front of his people, and tells to Achav, listen to the words of Hashem. I've seen Hashem sitting upon his throne with all the hosts of the heavens standing by him. There was a conversation happening in Shamayim that the prophet was privy to see. In this conversation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks all of his servants, How are we going to take down Achav? Who's going to lure Achav to go to war so we can give him his punishment? And one of the angels said, I can do it. I'll do it. I'll encourage him to come to go to war. So Hashem says to this angel, how are you going to do it? What's your plan? And the angel says, I'm going to put a foolish thought in Achav to think that the fake prophets that he has in his day, on his side, these heretics that he has on his side, these fakers are really real prophets. And they're going to encourage him to go to war. Hashem says, you will do it and you'll succeed. And the prophet is telling all of this to Achav himself. He says, I saw this. And if everything that I say to you, he says, doesn't happen, then I'm a fake prophet myself. You're going to go to war, Achav. Yeah, you won, you did a lot of things. And you look right. Right now, you look right. You look like you're the winner. But remember, the prophet before me said that you're going to get punished and eventually the dogs are going to drink your blood. I'm going to give you something further. You're going to go to war with your whole army against their whole army. And what happens in the war? Both parts have a lot of people that die. They have spears, you have spears. They have bombs, you have bombs. They have swords, you have swords. Right? So, a bunch of deaths. There's collateral damage. There's some women, kids, soldiers, all types, a lot of death. War is not fun. It's like the movies. Except this war. This war is going to be an exception. Both sides will go to war, but only you, Achav, are going to die. No one else is going to die. Meaning, an impossibility. An impossibility. That's how you're going to know that what I'm saying to you is the truth. Achav laughs at this. Yeah, you crazy people, you ultra-Orthodox fanatics. At least give me, okay, I'm going to lose the war, okay, I can believe that. But a bunch of people, at least I'm going to die fighting. But yeah, I'm going to go to war. I'm only going to die by myself. No, come on. Achav goes to war. And exactly as the prophet says, happens. The king of Aram commanded 32 chariot commanders and decides out of nowhere to tell his soldiers, do not wage war with anyone weak or strong, but only with the king of Israel himself. Meaning, don't look to kill anybody. Just the king. That's it. That's the only war. The only reason you're going is just to kill one person. And that's exactly what happens. In the meantime, there is a righteous king, the king of Judah, Yeshayahu, who mistakenly gets caught by the king of Aram's people, because they initially think, oh, he's the king. And they try to chop off his head. But who decides who dies? King of Aram? Donald Trump? Bibi Netanyahu? Saddam Hussein? Who decides? Kadosh Baruch Hu decides. Yeah, but the guy just took the sword and chopped his head. No. The guy took the sword and tried to chop his head. Who says it's going to work? Hashem decides if it's going to work. So he takes his sword, tries to chop off Yeshayahu's head. It didn't work. Why it didn't work? His neck turned into cement. And they realized, oh, this is a superhuman. And they realized, oh, by the way, no, he's not even the king of Israel. He's the king of Judah. He's a tzaddik, this guy. Oh, okay, good that we didn't kill you. Okay, go ahead. See you later. This is in the Tanakh. But who died? A whole army shows up. Somebody takes a little spear, throw it. Only person that dies, Achav. Everybody else alive goes back to their families. Kiddush, do TeShuva, Shtabach Shemo. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the only one, Rabotai Karim, that decides who lives, who dies. The faster we realize it, the easier our lives become. The easier our lives become. Now, it's important that a person work on his Emunah or her Emunah, not just believing that good things will come and believing that you'll have money and you'll have food, but work on their understanding that it is not a aspiration to believe in Hashem, but rather it's a survival necessity to know that Hashem runs the world and no one else can get in the way. Not your boss, not your customer, not your parents, not your cousins, nobody. Hashem runs the world. Your actions simply allow Hashem to determine what outcome will happen as a result of your actions. It's not that your actions generate the result. The results are out there already. When you do a certain action, you're pressing a certain button, there's a certain amount of reward or punishment that comes as a result of that. If you do what Hashem says, you're bringing yourself a lot more reward. Now what about if I have a lot of difficulties that come? Can I run away from those difficulties? Difficulties. Money issues, this issue, that issue. What if I maybe become more lenient? Maybe my life will become easier if I keep Shabbat less. Or if I don't wear a modest clothes, maybe it's easy for me to find a husband. Or maybe if I don't protect my brit, maybe it's going to be easy for me to, deal with the fact that I'm single. Or maybe if I cheat in business, but, not 100% cheat, only 50% cheat, maybe I'll have more money to make parnasah. Or maybe if I skim through the book, maybe I'll read the book faster. No, you can't beat the system. You can't beat the system. If there's a decree from heaven that you will have 100 pounds worth of difficulty, there's nothing that you can do to change that. You can pray for mercy and for Hashem to distribute that 100 pounds over time and not right away, or perhaps even change a decree as a result of your change in action. But you going from this door of truth to the fake door, it's not going to change it. All it's going to do is that it's going to transfer the decree from here to the next room. You think you're going to have more financial freedom by cheating and going to the business of cheating because that's how you're going to make what? What Hashem's going to do is like, okay, yeah, initially you may make a little bit more money and then I'll give you more problems as a result of that money. Lawsuits, health issues, this, that, the other thing. You'll have the same problem, just transferred in a different way. Different way. Oh, you know what? I don't want to have any more kids because it's a headache. It's a lot. It's a financial strain. It's this, it's that. So I'm just going to have 1, 2 kids, maybe a dog or 2, and a cat. Because I don't have that much headache. Guess what? If Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to give you 100 pounds worth of headache, He'll give it to you with 2 kids. And He wants to give you 100 pounds of headache, He'll give it to you with 4 kids also. Meaning, the amount of kids that you have is not going to increase or decrease your headache. In fact, the more kids, the easier it is. Why? It's the same 100 pounds, but distributed among more kids. So you can either have 100 pounds of problems with 2 kids, it's a lot of problems, or 100 pounds with 10 kids, 10 pounds each. What would you rather have, 2 Esavs or 10 Yaakovs? 10 Yaakov wasn't so easy. You had a few issues, got into a couple of fist fights, but it's only 10 pounds. Or you want to have 2 Esavs, which one you want? There's 100 pounds of decree of difficulty. You can't run away from it. No, I have an issue. Maybe it's going to be more easy for me to find a husband if I'm less modest. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want you to find a husband, guess what? You can walk around naked and no one will look at you. The reality is, Rabotai, is that a person needs to know Hashem runs the world. Not because it's a nice aspiration to get to that level, but rather it's simply going to allow you to survive these difficult times that we're in and going into. Because the picture right now still looks pretty in comparison to what's coming in the future. Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil. And the only way we can be prepared for that day is if we start now. So every day, you have to learn. You have to learn Torah and understand, okay, I learned 1, 2, 3 things. How do I apply one of those 3 things? How do I apply one of those 3 things? I learned about Tikkun HaBRIT. How do I pass the test of Tikkun HaBRIT today? Yeah, but yesterday you were a loser. Okay, yesterday's yesterday. Can't change yesterday. How do I pass it today? What about tomorrow? What, forever I'm not going to... Forget about tomorrow. Today, past today. You're not going to be able to pass the test of tomorrow by worrying about tomorrow. You have to worry about today. But you can't pass tomorrow's test if you don't pass today's test. Because you're too busy focusing on yesterday. That's already passed. Torah is the only way that a person can go straight. The path of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Moshe ve'Aaron, David u'Shlomo. You can't make any new roads. You can't make any new ways. You have to stick to what works. To the path that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, this is the path that I want you to go into. So number one, Sur mira v'aseh tov. Run away from evil. Fake rabbis, fake shepherds, fake teachings, including your own ideas that are foreign to the Torah. Sometimes you could be your own fakest teacher. Run away from those ideas. Stick to what the sages say. Why? That's the way that works. Verified. Stand. 2. Apply the Torah to your life every day by learning it, and simply by taking one of the things, 2 of the things, 3 of the things that you learned that day and yesterday and applying it to today's life. Do the best that you possibly can. There's no other way to beat the system. There's no other way. 3, constantly work on your Emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu by taking the tests that Hashem is giving you. Money test, shidduch test, kids test, any test that you have, taking it and not only trying to overcoming it by surviving the day, but seeing, what is Hashem telling me? What does He want me to learn from this? What does He want me to learn from the fact that I don't have money for the mortgage? What does He want me to learn from the fact that this customer won't stop annoying me? What does He want me to learn that my wife woke up on the left side of the bed, she won't stop yelling at me? What does He want me to learn that the kid won't stop crying until 3 o'clock in the morning? What does He want me to learn that I have all these pimples on my head all of a sudden? I don't know where it's coming from. What does He want me to learn from A, B, C, D, E, F? What does He want from me? But not as a complaint, as an authentic, legitimate question. What can I learn from this so I can be better tomorrow? Every day, you do a little bit of this, I promise you, next year, Rosh Hashanah, you're going to be proud of yourself. Why? Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give you the feeling that He's proud of you. B'ezrat Hashem. Tomorrow night we'll have another shiur of questions and answers. Hopefully you'll have some questions. B'ezrat Hashem we'll have some answers. And next week B'ezrat Hashem we'll be back with the same series, but the new section of this Ikvet Ad Mashiach by Rav Wasserman. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen. Baruch Hashem, we've completed another year at B'ezrat Hashem. Rabbi Ephraim and I are very proud to announce some major milestones that we've achieved, B'ezrat Hashem, and with your help, our dear partners. Over 60 million minutes of our Torah has been watched over the last year. That's 1 million hours of Torah to help people do TeShuva and get closer to Hashem. Over 300,000 CDs have been distributed around the world for free. We've also made over 1,000 lectures between the two of us, as well as also with Rav Chaim being added to the roster. Over 60,000 regular viewers are watching our Torah right now across the board. Over 200,000 answers regarding halacha, family, shlom bayit, different topics on a regular basis being given to people. Over 10,000 people have been helped, whether it's for food or different financial issues. 1,000 families of Torah scholars are being helped by Irgun B'ezrat Hashem. We've published and distributed over 5,000 halachic books, kuntresses, newsletters, musar books around the world. We are also currently helping over 130 families complete their conversion to Orthodox Judaism. Our TV channel continues to grow, our YouTube channel, our Facebook pages, our WhatsApp pages, everything continues to grow, Baruch Hashem. Thanks to Hashem, and thanks to our dear partners. B'ezrat Hashem, much more next year. B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, we're very excited to offer you the new B'ezrat Hashem app 3.0. It's a newer, faster app, full of Torah, lots of Kedusha, by the shiurim that we do, myself, Rabbi Ephraim, Rav Chaim, where you'll have also newer features where you're able to use the app while you're using other applications on your phone. You'll be able to share the lectures directly from the app. You'll be able to donate online and support our Cube and our Torah work that we're doing. And the most exciting feature is that you'll be able to actually ask questions directly on the app and get answers from the rabbis directly from the app. This is something unprecedented, and Baruch Hashem will be able to offer it. Thank you again for all of your support. Check it out. Make sure you have the kosher Torah that will re-energize your neshama each and every single day. Call to B'chava Tzlacha.